Discussion is on the future of electronic voting with John Tallet from International Data Corporation. We are on at SABC Network on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Let's start with our tech and social media news. MTN Business held their annual App Awards ceremony in the last week. These awards are a platform to showcase the developers' innovative ideas.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner, the MTN Business App of the Year 2016 is...
Domestically!
That is one of the companies that answered to MTN when it called for entries to the App Awards.
So the App of the Year actually is a platform that we provide for app developers that are coming up with innovative applications that have made a difference, whether it's from a business perspective or from a community development perspective. So it's really a platform to showcase their innovative applications.
Domestically is an on-demand cleaning service app based in Cape Town and some parts of Johannesburg. Both the cleaner and the customer are required to download the app just like popular app Uber. And just like Uber, cleaners can choose which job they want to take and in which area.
She can see all her ratings, all her reviews, all her customers that she's been serviced in the last week. And then on the customer side as well, is they can see feedback from other domestic users on this cleaner's profile. So they know that this cleaner is vetted, they background checked, we did ID checks, we did all these background checks and references on them. So it brings in the whole trust element into the whole domestic app.
The MTN App Awards had other categories this year.
The 2016 Best Enterprise Development App Award goes to... Here's Ladies and gentlemen, the most innovative app for 2016 is...
The overall winners walked away with 200,000 rands.
A few people are now starting to make money from their online popularity, but social media influencers say brands still don't know how to work with them. We met up with the two of them in Johannesburg.
The early days of social media being just for fun are long gone. Many are now starting to think carefully about their digital footprint and how it can bring them money. Siabeile, or the Threaded Man, has over 20,000 followers on Instagram.
Instagram is a place where I showcase my visual aesthetic. I believe Instagram, we can use Instagram to raise the level of taste when it comes to fashion and lifestyle. So Instagram is more of a curator vibe. Facebook is more for my friends. It's more intimate. It's more sharing stuff with my family. It's more bantering with my friends. That's where my high school pictures are. So I use them completely different. And then Snapchat, I share my adventures. People get to see also most of my personality and what my life is like. So I think each different social media channel has its own content and its own purpose.
Anele Papu is sitting at over 40,000 followers on Instagram.
I still enjoy posting whatever I want, whenever, but mainly it's like a reference point for my clients and whoever's interested in Anele Papu.
But a lot of brands are struggling to figure out ways on how they can collaborate with social media influencers. Many understand their reach and influence but fail to engage them properly.
Brands that have budgets are looking for audiences, and that's the beauty of social media now. It is a medium, essentially. So instead of having to depend on an SABC, for instance, an individual can use Twitter or use Facebook or use Instagram as their own medium to build their own audiences. So in the same way that brands are paying media companies for adverts, they're now looking to pay individuals to either tweet or talk about their brands. They're sending on trips or inviting to really cool events and giving them really cool swag.
No one asks for a magazine. If a magazine says an advertising page is 30,000, a magazine never gets questioned. But when it comes to our space, we always get questioned. That time, the results are right there. You can see how many likes we have. You can see the interaction. You can see our amount of followers. So it happens on a daily basis locally, where brands are like, we don't see why we should pay this amount. So yeah, it's a constant battle where brands want to dictate, but the influence is there and they can see it.
Experts say social media influencers shouldn't allow big brands to bully them and change their pages, as they've built a following because of their thoughts, videos, pictures, and who they are.
As an individual, you figure out what is your story, who are you, what type of brand do you want to exude online, and you never know what's going to pick up, you never know what people are going to sort of relate to. So I don't know if there's one set strategy. I think consistency is definitely key. The more you're posting, the more interesting posts that you're posting, the more people are going to want to follow you and share that, thinking about things that people resonate with.
Social media influencers say the problem with many big brands is that they try to change the brand of the individual who has gained popularity on social media in order to work with them. They say many don't understand that authenticity is key online.
How can you work with the brand, or how can you collaborate with the brand when you can't afford the brand? So if you look at the brands that I collaborate, it's always things that I can actually personally afford, because it's more realistic and people can feel that they can connect to me more rather than just pasting expensive brands on my Instagram just for the sake of getting likes.
Despite this, there are brands who are approaching people who are popular on social media. They are beginning to use them in their posts to promote their campaigns.
There's a low-tech initiative that's helping fishing communities in Malawi. It dries their fish in a clean and efficient manner.
This low-tech solar tent is helping fishing communities along Malawi's Lake Chilwa. It's changing the way they do business. The tent, made from polythene and a wooden frame, is able to trap warm air and allow fish to dry faster in a clean, controlled environment. Traders say this technology helps them sell better quality fish that fetches a higher price.
I can tell you that I'm a very happy and thankful woman because of the solar dryer project. When we collect fish from the lake, we dry them inside the solar fish dryer.
The project is part of a study by Cultivate Africa's Future, a fund supported by the Australian and Canadian governments. The fund wants to develop new business models for fish processors here. They've partnered with the University of Malawi.
Normally they would take 1.5 to 2 days to dry. In here they will put it in the morning. By the evening they would be taking the fish out. So it reduces the amount of time that the fish processors would take to dry it. It also prevents loss of the fish due to predation by some birds and what have you, and dust. And ideally it also does reduce increase the quality of the fish. As you can see, it is said that the fish in here dries with a nice color because it doesn't take so long. So the fish would be of very good shiny quality.
Fishing is a crucial source of employment and nutrition in Malawi. Canada's International Development Research Centre says 40% of fish is lost during processing here. It is mostly processed through sun drying, frying or smoking. Traders are being encouraged to adopt improved processing methods, like using kilns that require less wood to smoke their fish.
This method is effective and is a very simple way to smoke fish. We are using very little wood.
The simple solar drying technology is also being used in Zambia, and plans are underway to start similar initiatives in other parts of Africa.
The National Science Week is set to kickstart on Monday, and 3D printing restaurant plans to take the world by storm. These are some of the tech stories that made headlines this week. The National Science Week is set to kickstart on Monday, August 8th. Minister of Science and Technology Naneli Pandor addressed guests on the importance of science at the University of the Western Cape.
If we want sustainable development, we must invest in these key areas which are normally referred to as STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics. So the National Science Week is part of our program to put science in the public domain, to alert South Africa to what is available in science.
Now, what would the tech wrap be without any Uber news? In Kenya, hundreds of Uber drivers went on strike after price cuts.
The reason we are here, it's because we have been grieved, and it is about the issue of cutting fares. And being a driver partner, I was not consulted. And that is one of the major reasons why we have decided to come on the street. Not because we don't love Uber. It's a good company, it's a good technology company, and we love working with it.
Drivers of the ride-hailing app in Kenya's capital Nairobi marched on Tuesday against a 35% cut in taxi fares. Uber says that the cut is aimed at boosting demand for the service. Now heading over to the Queen's Land, a 3D printing restaurant plans on doing a global tour after a limited opening in London.
3D printing as applied to food, and for that matter 3D printing as applied to manufacturing processes, is just the next step in this constant evolution. It's the logical next step in terms of convenience, efficiency, sophistication, and also doing things that even couldn't quite be possible with a human hand, but are possible in our imagination.
We can have all the nutrition in there, so all the vitamin, all the minerals, all the omegas, protein, whatever you need. We can make it very personal. We can even say, well, you need a little bit more vitamin B for your hair, and she needs a little bit more protein to grow her muscles. We can make it very personal.
Well, we sure live in interesting times. Not only can humans print food, but images of themselves too. Shooting photographs and storing them digitally has become old school for South Koreans who are taking photography to the next level with 3D figurines of themselves.
With the figurine, I want to send it to my boyfriend who's in the United States, and that way he has a figurine of myself. So I thought it was like a neat idea where they can have a 3D figure of myself instead of just a picture.
Now this is Trends, of course, your one-stop serving of all that's juicy and trending in the world of entertainment and showbiz. My name, of course, is Refill Wemwilo.
I'm Dr. Sello Mutaung, and this is Our Talk.
A very good morning and welcome to Media Monitor. I'm your host, Alicia Jolly.
My name is Dumile Matters.
My name is Mpo Sedu. What time is it? It's question time.
For your daily dose of current affairs, tune in to the SABC News Channel.
Welcome back. The Independent Electoral Commission created a mobile application to make life easier for South African voters. Here's how it works.
The Independent Electoral Commission has an app available for iOS and Android for free download on both app stores. Using your South African ID number, the app is able to tell you where you are registered to vote for the August 3rd elections. The menu options on the mobile application also make it possible for one to gain information on nominated candidates as well as councillors from their area. Information is provided on how the voting process will be for an individual in the municipal election.
South Africans filled out voting stations in this year's local government elections that took place earlier in the week. Now, instead of using the conventional pen and paper method of casting votes, could there be a digital way of voting in the near future, maybe even in the next coming elections? Here to talk to us about the future of digital voting is tech analyst but John Tuttle from IDC. You can join the conversation on at SABC Network on Twitter and Facebook. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Leva.
Now, John, we just saw the IEC app, right? So
Yes, we
could
did.
this be a possible genesis to a digital voting system in the near future?
Yeah, I think so. We're seeing electronic voting gathering speed around the world. There are a number of countries which are actively using it right now. So it's probably inevitable at this point that the world will move in that direction. In a sense, it's ironic. We're surrounded by technology, the internet, mobile phones, yet we're not using them to cast votes yet. So a lot of people feel like democracy is kind of behind the curve in terms of technology. But it's a very complicated system. There are so many checks and balances in place, and the technology just isn't really there quite yet, but it is getting there.
Can you elaborate on the complications there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at just a traditional paper-based ballot, there's so many checks and balances to make sure that votes are cast appropriately, that they're secured from the polling station to the counting centers and so on. And there's so many possibilities for subversion in that process. Add digital machines on top, and you've just got new layers of complexity. Do you trust the company that made the machine, the people who wrote the software, the technicians who installed it and maintained it? There are so many ways that it can go wrong. And we saw that in America. There were votes cast electronically there in 2004, I believe, when there were a number of concerns raised about the machines not working correctly, whether they were subverted, whether it was just a bug. People really want to feel they can trust the democratic process, right? There's no real margin for error, and you can't. There's no acceptable threshold at which you can say, oh, this many votes can be lost and we're okay with that. That level is zero.
Now, sorry to cut you, but you touched on digital machines. In 2006, Ireland tried to do away with the pen and paper way of voting, and they wanted to implement these digital machines for people to vote on. But now the initiative failed altogether, and part of the reason was cost implications. Now, how expensive, or are there other tools that they could have used instead of wanting to invest in these digital machines?
So a number of countries have experimented and pulled back. In some cases because the costs were too high, in some cases because there were concerns about the reliability of the machines and the voting process. It's a bit of a balance. The upfront cost is always going to be higher, rolling out machines and doing the training and so on. But in theory, the costs will actually come down. The counting process will be so much faster and more efficient. The amount of manpower you'll need to collect the votes will be greatly reduced. So I don't think cost is necessarily the only factor. I think probably security and verifiability are really more important. And that's led a number of countries around the world to consider e-voting and then put it on the back burner.
Yeah. Do you see that we en route to that eventually, that e-voting system as a country? I mean, you've seen how the country has grown. The government services are mostly digital nowadays. We have smart IDs. So do you see us going towards that system?
Yeah, I do. And the smart ID is a really good point. So there are countries around the world, Estonia is an example, where they rolled out a national smart ID card and they've used it to facilitate online voting. There's no reason why South Africa couldn't follow suit. We would probably look at doing it through mobile phones rather than the internet, because our mobile phone penetration is so much higher than our internet usage. But absolutely, we have the platform for it. There's the appetite for it. I don't know if it'll be ready in time for the next election, but I think certainly in the future we'll see that.
Now, I want to ask you now, what would you prefer? I mean, obviously, the pen and paper ballots, they come with human error, miscalculations or rigging. What would you prefer? Which one is the lesser evil?
So I'd like to see the electronic solutions rolled out, but I do think there are more checks and balances that need to be in place to make sure that it can really be trusted.
But then, so when you say checks and balances, do we depend on our neighbors, on international people? Because, I mean, people are people, and we always have a way of destroying things. So when you say, do we have to have somebody from outside overlooking these elections, or can we trust our own people?
I think we can trust our own people. The key to a voting system, whether it's pen and paper, whether it's electronic, is that the system needs to be able to test itself. At every stage, you need to be able to review it and audit it and make sure that the processes are being followed. You can do that electronically just as you can pen and paper. And a really good example of that is the ATM network. We have machines which are rolled out nationwide, and we trust them with transactions. You couldn't build a network that scale for voting. That is very expensive. But that, as a proof of concept, it can be done.
Now with mobile voting, don't you think there's a higher risk of people being coerced maybe to vote for a certain party by somebody who's looking over their shoulder on some, no, don't vote that one?
The possibility of coercion is there. The possibility of tracking someone's vote is also very real. So one of the hallmarks of our democracy is that nobody can tell how you voted. There should be no way to retrieve that log. So can you ensure that kind of privacy and security on a mobile device? Not currently. But could you? Sure.
And of course, we have the hacker factors. I mean, your anonymous will come in and just like rig your vote and change it to another party or something like that.
And there are many who would try, absolutely. You would have denial of service attacks. You would have people trying to subvert the vote just because they can. You may have people from political parties who may be motivated to try to rig the vote. Those absolutely are threats that need to be taken into account. The risk is probably relatively low. It's actually quite easy to secure a system like this from outside attack, much harder to secure it from subversion from within.
Yeah, because these kids are very naughty.
They are.
Thank you so much, John, for being a part of our show.
You're very welcome.
And that was John Tuttle from IDC. This week, we caught up with dancer Paul Mujaji, and he told us what his favorite piece of technology is.
Hi, this is Paul Mujaji. I'm a dancer choreographer, and my favorite technology is my latest MacBook Air. I take it everywhere with me. I can do my work, I can watch movies. It's basically my life.
Certain choices in life lead us not to our destination. Prostitution will not.
Everything that I used to do then, it was something that I never thought of, I never dreamed of.
One bad choice in life led her to another.
Most of my clients, they used to ask me a question, what am I doing in that industry? Because it does not suit me at all.
Her demons haunted her until she changed her life.
I used to pray that, Lord, if you can deliver me from these drugs, I promise you that I will serve you for the rest of my life.
She has since found peace and is serving her community.
We'll try by all means to spend time with all of our kids.
Join your host, Buleng Mulabati, every Friday at 17:30.
Yeah, it's more of a validation. You know, it's more of like, okay, you're on it. Because it's been a dream and a goal from the beginning, like to get here.
The fact that the rest of the world is actually acknowledging the amount of work we put into, into music as Africa as a whole, I think it's fantastic. It's a big one for South Africa too.
The School of Ballet in Nigeria has changed many a mindset in dance.
Saw it a lot on TV and we looked at it like something that probably could not be taught to us because we thought it was like a white man dance or probably something it's their culture now, but it actually taught me that it's not just about culture because dance is a language.
For more arts and entertainment news, catch Trends every Saturday from 12 to 1.
Welcome back. Now let's see what some people have been sharing on social media.
As the Olympics have started, many people have been tweeting about the Rio Games. Some have been sharing their views on the Hurricane Super Rugby win. They were playing the Lions. After South Africa's local government elections, it seems the focus has shifted to President Jacob Zuma on social media.
Well, that's all, folks. Catch me again next week, same time here on SABC News Channel 404. Don't forget to tweet or Facebook us on @SABC Network and email newsnetwork@sabc.co.za. We leave you with a Google Doodle video commemorating the 2016 Rio Olympics. Only this one is called the Fruit Olympics. From me and the rest of the network team, good night.
different.